Princess Alethea Kontis and Chris Kridler.
Hi, everybody.
The dynamic storm chasing duo.
I know, and we've been back for, is it 2 weeks now?
Has it really been 2 weeks?
It feels like yesterday.
It feels like yesterday, but it also feels like a year ago.
Right, because we packed so much into the 2.5 weeks we were actually in Tornado Alley.
And this was only my third time out chasing.
You're a veteran.
And I am. But Chris has been doing this. This was your 25th season.
Yes, because I'm old as dirt.
You are not.
No, it's...
you were just very young on your first chase.
I wasn't, though. I was like in my late... Well, I don't remember. I was not young. So, anyway, that just proves you can find your passion in life at any time and pursue it.
This is so true. And I almost feel bad when people say, you know, oh, have you always wanted to go storm chasing your whole life? Because I haven't. I've always wanted to go to Egypt my whole life, and I'm actually going to get to do that this year, which is so exciting. But storm chasing found me, and you invited me, and I said yes because I'm a writer. Why would I say no? That's an amazing opportunity.
Right.
And
well, she kind of invited herself, but I was open to the idea. And Alethea was great on the road, and you know, like the true test of any you know relationship, like a storm chaser partnership, is can you get along in a small car together for a week or 2 or 3?
Massive amounts of time
and stress too. There's a lot of stress,
and not just the car. I mean, you're with each other 24 hours a day. There's very little time you have apart.
Right.
And until I read a lot of books this past year, thank you, pandemic, and did a lot of research on storm chasing, I didn't realize quite what the risk you took taking me on. But I'm so glad you did.
I know, me too. It's worked out really well.
I was up to the challenge. But in your fabulous amount of years, happy anniversary, of chasing, like, how does this past year match those in terms of, like, the length of time we went out and the number of storms we saw? And because for me, this past year was epic.
It was. It really was a good year. So this year didn't have a lot of what you would call photogenic tornadoes for us.
Right.
And there just weren't that many. There were a few great events. The best one was in April when the people who live in Tornado Alley were chasing it, but the rest of us were at home going, because there was like tornado and rainbow and all this stuff at the same time.
The tornado and the rainbow.
Yes, insane stuff, which we didn't see. But we did see tornadoes this year. They just weren't super photogenic. But we saw tons of amazing structure, which is the term that storm chasers use for storms that have wonderful architecture in the sky.
They look like cakes or confections or
UFO motherships.
Right, or fantastic works of art. It does not look like a sky you are used to looking out your window and seeing.
It's not mushy gray clouds. It's like, because these things have a lot of dynamics going on, like especially rotation, they can create these beautiful spinning structures in the sky. And there's some years when I get no structure, and since I'm about the photos, like I'm really into the photography part, I'm not out there because I'm an adrenaline junkie by any means, even though that can be fun. I was thrilled because we had really great photo ops.
We did.
Yeah.
So many. And that Earth Texas storm, which was one of our first,
we
was
just
one
sort
of
of
the best.
Stumbled into that one.
We did.
After the tornado.
Well, we were in the bathroom.
Well, we had chased all these other storms, and we're like, okay, we need to make a stop. And I'm like, that storm down there looks interesting. And we come out, and I'm like, it's tornado warning.
Right. The car was running, and I'm walking out of the gas station leisurely, and she's screaming at me, a tornado, let's go. So, yeah, we were just post-tornado, but we were still there for all the Mamatis and the sunset, and we had a field all to ourselves, which is
because we were in
rare.
So yeah, when you're chasing these storms, usually if you're on the north side, you're like in the hail core and potentially in a really dangerous position because the tornado often moves to the northeast. But this one was like this little LP, i.e. a low precipitation supercell. So there was hardly any precipitation with it, and you could see the whole base, the whole updraft was spinning, and Alethea can testify, this is another term we use, I was stormgasming the whole way down. Once we could see it, I'm like, oh my god, look at these bananas, oh my god. I'm gonna curse a lot now. This is amazing.
You can hear it on my video.
Yeah,
I just were stunned.
Yeah,
From the moment we got out of the car, we were stunned.
Visually gorgeous storm, and we could be on the north side and have a fantastic view of the whole thing.
We
So
really lucked out on that one.
Yeah.
A storm that we didn't even really chase. And then the very next day was a storm we did chase. And that was the Brownfield storm.
Yeah, that was
from
amazing,
beginning to
too.
end was just
a wonderful
magnificent
visual feast. First of all, it was like a UFO, and there's that picture I posted of Alethea in the foreground with this UFO, and people are like, "What is that?" It's an Independence
It was
Day kind of
sucking
thing.
all of this dust
Yep.
into the inflow, and it looked. I keep comparing it to Mad Max because it really did look like something out of Fury Road, just sucking all this massive, this gargantuan thing,
Right,
sucking
so
dust into the
Brownfield,
sky.
Texas is aptly named because
Absolutely.
all these brown fields, and they were all kind of reflected in the base of the storm, in the base of the clouds, which was really interesting to see kind of this rusty color in the base of these storms.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And
Yeah.
then it continued to shift and morph into this
Right.
amazing mammatus-filled sky at sunset. And the sun did this weird thing where it split the sky in half. So half of it seemed
Yeah.
normal colored and half of it was this pink tones. And it was just,
lightning, and that was
Ah.
after we saw a funnel cloud that we were right across the street from
Apparently.
it, and it almost did it. Some people say maybe it did do it. But by do it, we mean actually create circulation on the ground. And this
Yes.
also, this storm was an example of the 2021 syndrome, where people report a tornado on a storm that we are right in front of filming, and we don't see it because the tornado is any circulation that's actually on the ground.
that touches the
So
ground.
you could have
Yeah.
a tiny little funnel and a circulation on the ground. That is a tornado. It doesn't need to fill in the whole
Right.
column of circulation.
Right.
So anyway, there were multiple storms like that this year. We're like,
Yes.
Daniel Shaw, who's one of our friends from Australia, Daniel reported a tornado because Daniel's always right up under it.
And we're right there.
I
We're like, Dan.
know. But he has magical powers, so that's okay.
He does. So we called this the year of the maybe NATOs.
Yes, there were lots
We
of
saw a
maybe
lot of
NATOs.
maybe NATOs. But for us, we would actually like to see the structure
Right.
touch the ground in a funnel shape. But
So the
we
best
just
of
didn't really have
those-
that,
The
though.
best of those, which again it was definitely a tornado, but it wasn't great visually, was in Colorado.
Yes.
So that was the near Kim, Colorado.
Mhm.
There were tons of chasers out that
Yep,
day.
the Kim Campo storm,
Yes.
or just Kim storm.
Because Campo is this town in eastern Colorado, southeastern Colorado, that is legendary, for
especially in our
producing-
circles,
yes,
for sure.
because our friend Jason saw it. Legendary for producing this gorgeous, everlasting, dusty tornado that basically stood still and let people take pictures around it for an hour or whatever years ago. And it was on a really marginal day where it didn't look like anything would happen. So Jason actually looked at the parameters for this day and said, this looks like Campo, but he loves Colorado, and he's sure there's always going to be a great tornado, and he usually finds them if there is.
Yes, on that day we were not allowed to turn the word Campo into a drinking game, or we would all have been unable to drive because
That's a good point.
every other word that day was Campo. But
this storm formed.
it did
I have to
produce-
say, if I can say this, I'll just say it looked like crap. It looked like crap. But Jason's like, oh, this is, the ingredients are going to come together, and, the inflow, the strong southeast wind, and
I have time lapse of that
and
day.
upper
Like, it's
level
pretty.
and-
The clouds are moving.
and everything, and it's all going to come together. And then it basically instantly came together.
Driving on this road from hell. I love it.
We badly needed a day off, and because we chased pretty much every day except one travel day, and even on the day off, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
We woke up in Liberal, Kansas, and Alethea especially was like, I need a day off. And I'm like, I totally get it. So we did laundry,
We did.
And
we had
we-
breakfast at the Pancake House,
which is
was
awesome
amazing.
in Liberal, Kansas, if you're ever there. Also,
Yes.
I have a little fondness for Liberal because it's the inspiration for Pancake, Kansas in my Storm Seekers books.
Yes.
Just very loosely. But anyway, we visited the Oz House there and the
Yes.
Coronado Museum, which I had never done, which was very cool. And then we had a special treat because I never realized that big warehouse-looking thing next to the Oz House that says Land of
The
Oz
Land of Oz.
is this attraction that's part of it.
And then we went through the trip to Oz. It was almost a replay of the film, an abridged version,
Slightly
a
mixed up.
one-woman show.
Yeah, it was a one-woman show.
It really was. And she was fantastic.
Right.
She was
right.
really fantastic.
So, and for what you pay, which was like $7 or whatever,
Right?
dude, you have to do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I got my official Kansas Tornado Chaser
Right,
shirt.
great gift shop.
A fantastic gift shop.
So anyway, toward the end of that day, we're watching clouds go up.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's right. Oh my gosh, I forgot.
And we know we have to be in. We've made a reservation for up on the I-70, which is a few hours away.
A little bit, yeah.
For that night, just chase the next day. So, we were like, should we do this? And our friend Bill's like, yeah, like basically I need my sleep. I'm going up to the I-70 to go to the hotel. We're like, well, we want to see what these storms do.
And because of the Earth Texas storm was kind of a similar situation. We were north of a storm and we thought, well, maybe we'll just wander down. We're not in a good position to chase it, but we are in a good position to maybe see a nice sunset or see some structure. And since we'd had such a great experience earlier on in the trip, we thought, hey, let's just give it a try.
I mean, I'm all about the structure or lightning, and Liberal is right on the border almost of Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Panhandle, and these storms were going up in the Texas Panhandle, and the Oklahoma Panhandle is very narrow.
Yes.
So we started going south, and we're like, oh my God, these look amazing, and they were gorgeous supercells. Just beautiful to photograph at sunset, and then the lightning show was fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That sunset was amazing.
Totally worth it, although we ended up getting in at like 1:30 in the morning.
We did.
And then the next day we're like, okay, well at least, we can sleep in the morning. We wake up, there's a severe storm warning. We look out the window of our hotel and we see mammatus clouds, which are an indication of a severe storm that's really getting its act together.
Yes, they're under the anvil of the storm that is happening right now.
You could see it had like a cool shape, and we're like, well, normally in the morning storms are crap. We're like, we better check this out. We rushed out of the hotel, and it was the best storm of the day, in my opinion.
It was beautiful, yes, of that day. It had that beautiful alien UFO structure and some colors. It's so hard to capture the colors.
That blue-green.
On film. I appreciate what everyone sees in our photos, and they love our photos, but the real life lines and colors just can't come across on camera.
It's really difficult.
And I comment all the time that the camera's not big enough because the sky is huge and you just can't get a lens big enough to just take in the whole sky.
And even if you do, looking at it on a phone, you're just not getting the experience. These need to be blown up to movie screen size to really appreciate them.
It's so hard. So we really give you, it's kind of the best of the best that we can, but it's only the tip of the iceberg of what we actually see. And sometimes we're, in a car covered by rain and being pelted by hail, so we can't give you a good picture because we can't take one, but it's amazing.
Speaking of hail, let's talk about the Roswell day. So, we were behind the 8 ball really, and didn't think there'd be that much that day, but these storms were going up in eastern New Mexico. We're like, looks like Roswell, which is of course famous for the UFO connection. And we got very close to the town, and this thing looked like Armageddon. Did it not?
It did. It looked like the Brownfield storm a little bit.
But it was
that Mad Max sort of level.
Menacing thing. It looked like something out of Stranger Things.
Yes.
All this dust blowing across the road. Gustnados, which are these little spin-ups you get, because the other storm was in outflow mode. So it was gusting out, and all these like mini tornado things were crossing the road. It was amazing looking. And then there was big hail that we avoided.
It's hailing like hail right now.
It's quite a bit, but so far so good.
We did.
Although we got pictures of it and some funny, Alethea got hilarious video of Jason trying to show us the hailstones while I was measuring them. And he's getting pelted with rain.
And you got video of me talking to my phone that wasn't actually on. In fact, I should make sure this is recording right now and didn't accidentally shut off.
Oh, that would suck.
Because when you're moving so fast, you don't realize that you have brushed something on the phone that has made your video stop.
The controls are
and we had a lot of frustrating moments there. And then while we were chasing that, we're hearing over the radio, and Scott, our friend with the giant hail shields, is saying, the hail just took out my rearview mirror. And you're trying to think of the physics of how
the side mirror got blown out.
To Oh, right, the
Yeah.
driver's side mirror.
So what happened was the hailstone hit the hail shield on the window and bounced and hit the mirror and took it out.
Yes. It was some
So you
very
just never
intricate
know.
physics of
Right.
what took out that side mirror.
So I just feel really lucky because we saw some great big hail on a couple days this year,
And
but
I
we were not in it.
Oh, and I got hit by hail because Chris rolled down the window to take a picture, and a hailstorm bounced off
Tiny little hailstone.
something, and actually hit me. And I thought, what is happening right now?
So that was your first real hail core, even though we stayed out of the baseballs. What did you think about that?
That was not bad, but slightly harrowing, only because at the hardest part, the heaviest part of the storm, the hail was coming towards my window. So if anybody's window was going to break at any point, it was going to be mine. And I was fairly sure that it wasn't going to break, and I'm sure you were totally sure. It was mostly pea-sized hail, but you never know.
Because I've been in some really big hail before.
Yeah.
And I remember in one of those, I put like an atlas up against my window, hoping that it wouldn't break. But
that sound is...
The sound is amazing.
The sound is very harrowing.
So if you get a chance to watch either Alethea's video or one of my old, like the May 12, 2005 hail barrage, the sound from that is mind-blowing. I mean, it sounds like bowling balls are hitting the roof of the car in that one because they're so big. So
and
even small hail, it's really loud.
When we talk about not being extreme chasers, we are not the people who drive into hail just to get their cars creamed. We appreciate having vehicles.
Yeah.
We appreciate windshields. We like having them uncracked because then we can film good stuff and take good pictures. So we would prefer to not do that.
And I'm almost comically hail avoidant after having 2 cars pretty much remodeled by hail.
Yeah. Do you still have the door panel?
So I saved a fender from one of my Honda Elements in the past because it was all beat up, and I take it to Storm Talks, and
she gives talks and brings pieces
see where the
of her
giant
car.
softball-sized hail put a big dent in the side. Yeah, it's pretty great. Are there any thoughts?
The other thing that surprised me, well, and also just made an impression. Okay, 2 parts. One was as much of the chasing as we did just by ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, you've done this by yourself all the time, but I really kind of haven't. And so I went into this year a lot more well-informed and well-educated about the storms. I'm still going to always be the stupidest person on our crew.
No.
Which is rare for me, the genius kid. But yeah, our crew has some pretty genius people on it, and very seasoned veterans of storm chasing. Right. I'm not gonna lie, I am lucky sod. But I was...
And we still all mess it up at one point or another.
We didn't really... Like, we had some great chasing, just me and you.
Yeah.
We had some really great chasing and got some really great footage. Mm-hmm. And then we did have chasing with the crew, which was revolving.
Fun,
the very small skeleton revolving crew. But also, the number of people I met on the side of the road this year.
Right.
Which seemed way more than normal. And possibly because we were all just so happy to be out.
Right. There was this sense of joy among, especially the chasers who've done this year after year after year. Because even some went out last year, but a lot of them didn't. And just even a marginal storm, it just felt really good to be out in nature again and seeing these beautiful supercells doing their thing.
Yep. And shout out to Andrew and Melanie and Dan always. I, just love seeing Dan. And now that I have the blue hair, apparently I was spotted on many of Dan's live feeds. So that's always fun. I may have to do this blue hair thing again. It was, or we
can wear silly hats.
It was a fun adventure. Very much so. But yeah, this year was fantastic. So thank you very much.
Thank
it really
you.
was.
It was really fun. So anyway, and also just a shout out and a thank you to everyone who contributed to Alethea's gas fund.
Oh my gosh, that was another thing.
I was like, oh, she's asking for gas money. Well, that's nice. And
I figured a few
friends. It was
friends
so much, and it was so generous. Oh my God, it was amazing.
It paid for like 90% of our gas on the trip.
I mean, that combined with the good gas mileage of the new car, it was like, this is such a gift. So thank you
so much, everyone. And thank you to my patrons, and thank you to just all the storm chasing community that we saw and that we love so much.
Yes, love y'all. Thank you.
I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.